Welcome back to ALEC's This Week in American History. Let's get started. This week in 1876, the Battle of Little Bighorn. In 1874, gold was discovered in the Black Hills in the western U.S., and a gold rush began, prompting the U.S. government, led by President Ulysses Grant, to try to purchase the land from indigenous tribes. The tribes refused, and after attempts to push the natives back to nearby reservations failed, armed hostilities began, kicking off the Great Sioux War of 1876. On June 25th, the 7th Cavalry Regiment, led by Lieutenant Colonel George Custer, fought the native nations of the plains at Little Bighorn River in Montana. The results of the battle, known as Custer's Last Stand, was a major victory for the native tribes. 286 American troops were killed, including Custer. However, in May of the following year, the native tribes surrendered and the U.S. annexed Sioux land. This week, in 1950, President Harry Truman began ordering troops to Korea. On June 25th, the North Korean Army, equipped and trained by the Soviet Union, launched a surprise invasion of the South. With the Soviets boycotting the UN for unrelated reasons, the U.S. was able to pass a resolution in the Security Council condemning the attack and calling on member nations to provide military assistance to repel the invasion. 2 days later, on June 27th, President Truman ordered U.S. sea and air forces to aid South Korea. After both sides' major gains were wiped out by the other, the war became a war of attrition. In 1953, the Korean armistice was signed, creating the demilitarized zone near the 38th parallel. No peace treaty has been signed, and the two nations technically remain at war, albeit in a frozen conflict. Sadly, over 36,000 Americans died in the Korean War. And on This Week in 2022, the landmark Dobbs v. Jackson Women's Health Organization overturned Roe v. Wade. In 1973, the Supreme Court, in a 7-2 decision, ruled that abortion was a constitutional right. This decision set off years of debate on the issue in two main camps: the pro-life camp, who was opposed to the Roe v. Wade decision, and the pro-choice camp, who supported it. In the ensuing years, states began adopting restrictions on the practice, with many hoping their laws would be the catalyst for the overturning of Roe. In 2018, Mississippi passed a law that banned most abortions after the 15th week of pregnancy. The law was challenged by the state's only abortion clinic in a case that went all the way to the Supreme Court. Justice Samuel Alito authored an opinion that 4 other justices joined, which overturned Roe in its entirety, returning the power to regulate abortions to the states. Join us next Wednesday for another edition of ALEC's This Week in American History.